Thanks very much, everybody. That's a fantastic demonstration today. Fantastic that so many of you stayed here all the time to demonstrate and to give the support to Julian Assange and to his family and legal team that have been battling away in the courtroom today. Christian Harfordson, the editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, is now going to give you his take on what's been happening today, and then we'll be working through a few guest speakers before we go and make sure that you're back here tomorrow. But first of all, Christian Harfordson.
Thank you all for coming here today and stay out throughout the day. I am so happy to see all of you here, still here after this long day. This hearing today has now come to a conclusion, to an end, but there's a continuation tomorrow. Today, Julian's lawyers were presenting the arguments against a chance to present in a full appeal. And it's so amazing that you should have to go through all this to get a chance to have these arguments presented in an appeal court. It should be a given thing, but it's not a given thing. We still have to wait for the decision by these two judges here. Each and all of the arguments presented here today by Julian's lawyers would in itself suffice in a normal country to stop the extradition. There are so many arguments, I'm not going to be able to repeat all of them, but each and every point should in itself suffice to stop the extradition. The very fact that this is a country whose intelligence agency, CIA, plotted to assassinate Julian should in itself stop an extradition. If it was any other country than the United States, it would suffice. The United Kingdom would not extradite anybody to another country that had plotted to assassinate the individual, Julian Assange. And they did so and discussed it on the highest echelon level of power in the White House. Can you imagine that? How can you send Julian Assange to a country which wanted him dead and openly discussed the ways and means to do so? That's outrageous. That should in itself be sufficient. All the other arguments that pile on top of it to strengthen the case. The fact that there was a spying done on his legally privileged communication, tainting his possibility to have a fair trial in the United States, should in itself be enough and sufficient. The fact that he's going to be put under such condition in prison in the United States, despite any bullshit called assurances, and excuse my French, it's just simply that. It's BS. Assurance of what? There is only one agency in the United States can actually define and order the Bureau of Prisons to put Julian Assange into conditions which are so harsh that it could lead to his death. That is the CIA, the very agency that plotted to kill him. And do you think that they will refrain from demanding that he be put into solitary confinement? I could keep on going about the legal arguments presented here to the two judges today. Such arguments that it would be in any normality in a civilized country absolutely impossible to come to other conclusion that at least allow him the opportunity to go through the appeal process. I have gone through so many proceedings in courthouses in this country that my hope is not big that Julian will have finally any justice in these halls of judicial power in the United Kingdom. My hope is slim. My hope is with you, that you can persuade the judges to finally listen to the argument. You tell them you are watching, your eyes are upon them. You will be their judges. If they want to be on the right side of history and not go down the drain, they need to listen to you. Please come back here tomorrow for day 2. Please come back. Continue to apply this pressure on the two judges, because they do notice. The press is noticing. The message is getting across. We see growing support for the cause of Julian Assange, and it's because of you who showed up here today. Please come tomorrow, and thank you for showing up. Free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange now.
Now I'm very pleased that we've got another guest here with us today. He's a member of the European Parliament, and anybody who's watched anything to do with the Assange case, or indeed anything to do with progressive politics whatsoever, will know that there's no better fighter, no better spokesman than Mick Wallace.
How you doing?
Hi, Mick.
It's great to see so many good people here. It's great to see that there's so many people that care. In the European Parliament, they talk morning, noon and night about freedom of journalism, freedom of expression, human rights, humanity law. But you know what? The place is creeping with hypocrisy. They don't give a damn about journalists when it doesn't suit them. The treatment of Julian Assange exposes the Western countries like nothing before. Over nearly 200 journalists that died in Gaza. They don't give a damn about them either. They only care about journalists provided they have them in their pocket and they do what they're fucking told. The persecution and the attempted extradition of Julian Assange is all about stopping the truth. Because they don't want the truth to be out there. Because they behave badly. They're still behaving like colonialists. Their mindset is still colonialist. And that too has been exposed in Ukraine and in Gaza. Western imperialism is still on the march. And Julian Assange had the audacity to expose the fact that they commit war crimes morning, noon and night to achieve their ambitions. Well, you know what? The people of the world are waking up. The people of the world have had enough of them. Politicians have never changed the world, but the people have. And more than ever, I have never seen so many people on the streets as we have in the last couple of years. Because the establishment has been exposed to what it is. And God help us in Britain now, he's had to pick between Sunak and Starmer. God fucking help us. But things can change. We can make the world a better place. We can organise the society where people are treated fairly. We don't have that at the moment. But it's so important that we challenge the system. We cannot be putting up with it. We have to make it plain that the people have had enough of this nonsense. And the freedom of Julian Assange is central to this. If no one knows what verdict is going to come out of this trial, we've seen so many at this stage. But at the same time, the ICJ in The Hague gave us a verdict that we didn't expect. Let's hope we get another one out of them, fellas. Thanks.
Now my next speaker is also a member of the European Parliament. I've seen her speak a number of times. I've never seen her opponents come off better than she did in any exchange. Today, I have only one wish, that she'd chosen, instead of a career as a politician, to be a lawyer. Because I would love to have seen her in that court today, answering the American government and the British government over the extradition of Assange. Please give a huge welcome to Claire Daly.
How in God's name am I supposed to follow an introduction like that? I think that's very unfair. Look, it's difficult enough to follow Mick, but I just want to say, on behalf of humanity, on behalf of everyone, to all of ye who have turned out today in such large numbers. I know we've met people from Italy, people who travelled from Switzerland, from Sweden. We know that as we are assembled here, there's people organising in Dublin, in Brussels, for the first time in Oslo, and all around the world. Yes. Because we represent the voices of truth, the voices of freedom, and the voices of resistance. And that is why Julian Assange is in that court. Now we know that what is at stake here is not the life of a man, although the life of a man is at stake. And that is incredibly important, and we never lose sight of it for a minute. But more than that, it is the defence of freedom of speech, of freedom of association, a stance against the criminalisation of journalism. That is what we are here. And how absolutely outrageous is it that an exemplary journalist, and we heard the evidence in the court today, a journalist whose work in exposing war crimes, renditions, torture, criminality resulted in those awful things being changed and stopped, that he's the one in prison and the people committing that are walking the streets doing gigs for Israel or whatever the hell Tony Blair does. So the chilling effect is here. We know that. They say if Julian is sent to America, the chilling effect will silence other journalists. It has already been here for the past 12 years. So I think it is very fitting that we're here against the backdrop of the appalling atrocities and the live stream genocide in Gaza. We know that also where a civilian imprisoned population is being targeted. We also know the Ukraine war is going on without end, because that's what NATO want. And I just want you to remind you of the words of Julian when he talked about the war in Afghanistan. And he said that these wars are about flushing the money from the tax bases of the US and the EU through Afghanistan and back into the bank accounts of the military-industrial complex. It's not about winnable war, it's about endless war. How true he was. And therefore, that voice, that very special voice that he had, is needed now more than ever, because it's not just about silencing the peace movement, it's about journalism, it is about silencing the peace movement. So let's remember also that if wars can be started by lies, peace can be started by the truth. You're all here on the side of truth, so is Julian. We'll be all here tomorrow, and we will not rest until justice prevails.
Now we all know that we have never been able at any point to rely on the political establishment or the court system to defend Julian Assange. This has been a work that we have had to do ourselves. This has been about people power. But every movement produces the spokespeople it deserves. And this is a good movement. And in Stella Assange, it has produced an exceptional leader.
So today was a day of legal arguments, but really what it was an indictment of a rogue agency, the Central Intelligence Agency, which it pops up in each of the arguments. Whether it was Julian exposing their torture program and their involvement in illegal killings, or their own plots to murder him. throughout. The origin of this prosecution came about when the CIA head, Mike Pompeo, lost the plot. He lost the plot, and then he instrumentalized his agency to go after a media organization, to plot the murder of a journalist, and to imprison a publisher in London. They lost the plot. It is rogue, it is out of control, and now it is targeting the press. Whatever happens in the coming days, it's now been aired in court. The murder plot, the political motivation coming out of Mike Pompeo's obsession with killing Julian, and the murders that Julian exposed in Iraq and Afghanistan, the torture program that European countries willingly participated in. We free Julian, we regain our democracy. Let's free Julian. Come back here tomorrow. Free Assange.
Thank you all so much for being here today and for staying here today. We have one more day in this possibly last hearing for Julian Assange. So please be back here at 8:30 in the morning. Stack your placards. We'll bring them back to you tomorrow morning for you to be part of the demonstration tomorrow. Please tell your friends, your family, your workmates, your fellow trade unionists to be here tomorrow. And at the end of the court hearing, which we expect to be about 4 o'clock, we'll be marching from here, down the Strand, down Whitehall, to Downing Street. So at the very centre of power in this country, they understand that the political prisoner, Julian Assange, must be set free. Stay strong, stay fighting, see you tomorrow.